Hello, everybody. This is Arwen Lewis, and you're listening to the Arwen Lewis Radio Show. Today, my very special guests are Children of Fab. Children of Fab is a project spearheaded by Jef Scott of The Men and Ghostwriters and Marc Platt of The Real Impossibles, who have been friends for decades. Jef and Marc started recording mashed up alternative versions of the Beatles in 2006. Every few years, they have added songs and now have released a self-titled EP through the Orchard and are starting to get airplay on many worldwide outlets. Hello, Children of Fab, and welcome to the Arwen Lewis Show.
Hi, Arwen. Good to see you.
Hi, Marc.
Hi, Arwen.
Hi, Jef. Thanks so much for coming on. I can't wait to talk about your EP and hear about your story and your careers as musicians in general.
Okay.
Well, we have them. We have stories for you.
You're in the right place for that. So today we're going to be featuring your song Another Girl in its entirety at the end of the program. And we're also going to be playing excerpts from the other songs on your EP. So I thought we could start first by, let's talk about Children of Fab. How did you decide to formally become a band?
Well, I'll tell you, I'll start it. So basically, it was my brother John's 40th birthday in 2006. So he's an old guy now. And Jef and I, he's a huge Beatles fan. We decided, hey, John asked us if we would perform at his big birthday party. It was in a huge bar in Santa Monica. So we thought, why don't we even take it a step further and record these, like we did 4 of these songs. We said, he loves the Beatles, let's mess around with it and really mash it up, and we'll do a performance. So Jef, you could take it from there.
Well, the way that I remember it was that he said he wanted us to play. I think he wanted us to play the songs just like the Beatles would have done it. But one of the things that Marc and I did a couple of years earlier than that was a project called General Paddock, which I think that's the greatest thing that Marc and I have ever done. And that there's a whole story about that, which the Beatles were the spine of that project. So when Marc, he came over to my house, I just moved from Portland back to LA, and he goes, hey, let's do this thing for John. My first impression was, oh, well, let's do effed up versions of Beatles songs. And so as soon as we started working on, I think Marc said, hey, I want to do Another Girl. I forget how he actually chose the songs, but Marc basically, as soon as he said Another Girl, the first thing that popped in my head was, well, why don't we slow, because that's like fast. I thought A Day in the Life, like let's do it halftime. And all I had to say was that, and Marc said, all right, let's do it. And we recorded it. My studio was already set up. And that's how we were just laughing the whole time because we were just doing so many stupid things. But yeah,
Well, what we did, Jef, what we did is we took like that whole section that leads into the woke up, got out of it. We took that and we messed around with it and put it at the beginning of Another Girl, so that it sounds like it's going to be like something out of Sergeant Pepper. And then all of a sudden you get the song out of Help, which was 2 or 3 years before that.
Right.
And so it confused people when we first played it for them, but that they were like, hey, this is really different. This is a cool way to do this. So
yeah, so we were doing mashup like before it was cool, I guess.
exactly.
Well, it sounds like a playground, almost a musical playground with your favorite music. And when you're capable as musicians, it sounds like kind of the ideal project to experiment with, especially with the personalities that you both seem to have, which is so
Well,
cool.
let me take it a step further.
Okay.
In those days, Jef loved recording with his little Tascam, which was like a 1/8 of an inch tape, right, Jef? Like 1/8 inch or 1/4 inch.
Right. It was a Fostex 1/4 inch. And I used to have 3 machines, but we only, I had them synced up together. So it was 24 tracks, but it started with General Paddock when I was thinking, well, the Beatles did it on 4 tracks. So let's just do it on 8 tracks. Okay. So it's like, you know, it went to 11 basically. But go ahead, Mark.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so basically when we did the General Paddock thing in 1999, which was 7 years before, what we did is we turned the tape around. We would record like a Beatles song, and we turn the tape around and write and record a whole brand new song for that. With so the whole tape was turned around, and I'll get that to you, Arwen. You can hear it later, so you can get the idea. And then the idea was we took another subject that I happened to love at that time, which was horse racing, because I'd written a book on it.
Oh.
And Jef would actually, for the General Paddock thing, point out a little, he would like inadvertently just take a spot in the book and like come up with a phrase, and we would do it. So we continued on with Children of Fab in that kind of fashion, where we're just going to mess around with these songs that we love so much, by the way.
Yeah, it was never, I mean, because of that project, which was one of the best things I've ever done in my life. It was so much fun. I think we made a plan of doing a song a day, and we would record a song a day. But when Mark had this idea for doing the Beatles songs for John's birthday, I immediately thought of Children of Fab. I was like, we should call it Children of Fab. Like, and so we were having a great time. I mean, we kind of knew like there's no pressure. There's no, as long as we're laughing, then everything's going to be fine. So,
I mean, like, yeah, taking a song like Cry Baby Cry and then giving it like the Al Green treatment that Jef did. So I'm sure you'll hear a little of that during the show. And like, and then taking, a song like Wait and making it into just a waltz, just slow it down and give it like this waltz feeling. And,
that was Mark's idea. He was like, why don't we, because again, that's another one. But Mark goes, hey, let's make it like a waltz, and I was like, great,
And then
no problem.
My absolute favorite was Tomorrow Never Knows, which on the Beatles version is a one chord song all the way through in the chord of C.
Oh.
And then John Lennon recorded, his vocal, but what we wanted to do was we gave it a more melodic, kind of thing. I want to say even kind of like Joe Jackson version of it, kind of a little bit.
Well, I remember when we were recording it, when I was coming up with the piano part, and Mark goes, oh, that sounds like The Who. So we kind of like took, I went, okay. So I was kind of thinking like Quadrophenia. And then we put like 2 chord change in it. So, because it's just a loop. The original is just a loop. I think it's in C. And then we just added dan, dan, dan. We just added dan, dan, like The Who would.
Right.
And like it still kind of keeps it in the same key, right? You're just like playing with the melody within the key of C, it sounds like, which is you're coloring in your own way, right? Or am I wrong?
The melody is the same. I mean, the only thing that we added was like this weird answer where it goes like it's like a background thing that goes it's like it's just a little background thing that follows the chords that we added on there to kind of give it that Who thing. But the vocal line, I was singing it just like I was singing the way John was singing it, and doubled it. And then the one thing that's great about Mark and I, when we get into the harmony parts, like those, God, I was thinking about like how I haven't really listened to this in a long time until Mark said, let's do something with this. But the background vocals in that, and the background vocals in, I mean, it was great. Like we sing great together.
Yeah.
Yeah, your harmony, they blend so well. I was going to ask, who's doing the singing and who's playing all of the instruments? Is it just you two on the recordings, or did you have other, like a bass player and a drummer?
Just us.
Oh,
Jef is like a savant producer type guy. Sometime when we were doing General Paddock, he would just go, hey, go in the other room for a few minutes, like 20 minutes. And then there would be like bass and guitar loops and all kinds of stuff on it. And like, come back, and then we would add my 2 cents or whatever. But Jef is, he's by heart a producer, arranger, writer, singer, songwriter guy.
Nice.
So it's really easy to work with Jef.
So Jef, you're the producer for this project then, basically, or are you co-producing?
Yeah, I mean, I physically produced it, but like I said, the thing is that we always knew, especially when we did the General Paddock, because when Marc was talking about General Paddock, he was saying, "Oh, I wrote this book," and he was, he's so passionate about everything, like every music. His passion is just like it just melts off of him. And he's talking about this book, and I go, "Oh, we should do a thing called General Paddock," which is, horses.
Well, the funny thing is, Arwen, is like, and we could talk about General Paddock another time, but it just basically we were to record one song a day, right? And we were both in between jobs at that point.
Okay.
And so at the end of like a month, we had so many we were way over like the 14 songs that ended up on General Paddock. I remember turning to Jef and saying, "We got to get jobs now."
Time to work.
Go back to the real. But the great thing about the Children of Fab thing is it's really kind of just an extension of what we did in General Paddock.
Nice.
You know what I mean? We just kind of carried it to the next level, and we've been talking for now 25 years about, like, we got to find a home for these. And then we just decided in the last few months, 4 or 5 months.
Well, it was Marc. It was Marc's idea. I mean, Marc said, "We got to do something." Like I said, I kind of forgot about it, to be honest. But after listening to it, I was like, "Holy shit, this is great!"
Yeah. So we remastered it, and then we said, you know what? Since I have a background now in radio and I do lots of radio promotion, I have a lot of connections. I can get it to people like Arwen and Jeremiah and Meg Griffin over at Sirius XM and Chris Carter and all these different people that love the Beatles. And so it seemed like this is the time. And then the time is about to come for General Paddock, which we've been talking about now since 1999. What kind of home are we going to find for this kind of music? Because I just gonna say one more thing about General Paddock, and we'll just keep it at Children of Fab after that. Jef one day, Jef was working at Island Records, and his boss at the time wanted to put out the General Paddock thing, and then his boss left the business. And
well,
so
it was at the time when in 1998,
merger,
when the whole record industry,
the merger,
and
so we didn't have a home for it. So the thing is, that's the beauty of 2024. Like, everything is so immersed in, like internet and virtual and viral and all these different things. This is the time. Now it's the time, and Children of Fab is just the first part of the rollout of this stuff.
I was going to ask you, like, how do you see, is Children of Fab going to continue creating under that name, or do you think that General Paddock is going to be, like you just said, the follow-up to Children of Fab?
I think it will, because what afterwards, Jef, what we did, 2 more tracks. We did I Am the Walrus, which we sent you also.
Yep.
And then what was the other one, Jef? There's a 6th song. I think there's six in there.
Well, I Am the Walrus, that was a couple of years ago when you go, "Hey, we should do another one," and then you picked I Am the Walrus, and so that was before COVID when you suggested that. And it was great because I wanted to keep it. I did the track, and I wanted to keep it, like, instead of all the cool orchestration that's on there, I was like, no, I gotta nail all those parts on just one guitar part, as if there was like one guitar, like that's how it was meant to be.
Mm-hmm.
And then when I sent it to Marc, he was like, "Oh," he was great. He loved the fact that the vocal that I did on it was like Frank Sinatra-ish,
Nice.
Instead of like spitting mad. And he loved it. He goes, "Yeah, but it sounds, the way you're doing it, it sounds too much kind of like a Jef Scott song. So let me mess with some stuff." So then he ended up coming up with he came up with his own orchestration parts. And, you know, again, it's like, there's no ego. It's like, whatever. Hey, let me try this. Great. Great.
Well, art for art's sake, and you're passionate about it. I mean, you can't create in a better environment, in my opinion, right? You know, and I think that really it comes through in the music. And also, I wanted to say this recording, it does really sound timeless. Like it couldn't be enjoyed anywhere just because of the musical. It's almost symphonic in a way, like
You know
rock
what?
and roll
I
symphony.
appreciate that.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for that, because we have always said, even when we go back to the General Paddock, it sounds like it was done last week. And I'm not, we're just being like old fogies, like we know what we're doing. You know, I appreciate that. Thank you, Arwen. Thank you.
And you know what, Arwen? It's actually, we don't know what we're doing. And we've always had that attitude. Like, let's see what's going to happen. It's like it's not calculated. And to me, the best music, and this is the way I write for my own stuff, is I write and I record it pretty much all at the same time. And then I may sit with it for a couple days, re-record it. I'll re-record stuff all the time. And that way it doesn't come out calculated. It comes out fresh. And Children of Fab immediately, like right as we did it, and General Paddock, all the stuff Jef and I have ever done. Jef's produced a record for me and all kinds of stuff over the last 26, 27 years. Like, it's always has this passionate edge of freshness to it. And that's how I like to do music personally.
Well, and that's what makes a good team and a good producer, right? You bring it out of each other. And I feel like as a producer, it's really important to give the artist the space to just create freely. And how lucky, how fab it is that you found that synchronicity between you two. But we're going to get ready to run out to our first break pretty soon here. Everybody, if you're just tuning in, my very special guests are Children of Fab, Marc Platt and Jef Scott. They've been working on this project since 2006, an EP under their name, Children of Fab, of Beatles songs that have been recreated in very beautiful ways. If you tune back to the beginning of this interview, if you just tuned in, you can hear more about that. You can find out more about Children of Fab on Facebook. Look them up under Children of Fab. You can listen to them on Spotify under their name. They're on YouTube and SoundCloud and anywhere you want to send people to buy your music.
I mean, it's on Amazon. It's on.
Yeah, it's on Apple Music. It's everywhere.
We released it through the Orchard, so it's on every outlet.
Great.
That you can imagine.
And
I want to talk about the Orchard a little bit when we come back from break too, and hear about maybe how you intermingle with your label mates and how your music fits into that label. So we're going to take you all out to break with Cry Baby Cry. That's a little excerpt from that by Children of Fab. And we're going to bring you back in with I Am the Walrus. We got to hear a little story about that at the beginning of this show. And like I just said, these are songs from Children of Fab's EP, Children of Fab. You're listening to the Arwen Lewis Show. This is Arwen Lewis. Please enjoy this music, and we'll be right back.